Hello and welcome to the Eating Well webinar for Bolder, Healthier Community Champions. My name is Chloe and I am a Public Health Officer at Birmingham City Council. In this presentation, we'll be covering eating well, looking at how you can eat well yourself and also how you can support others too within your community. As many people know, eating well can sometimes be a lot easier said than done. For lots of us, the food environment in which we live makes it harder for us to make healthier food choices. For example, factors such as how close we live to supermarkets, takeaways, and fast food outlets can make unhealthy food options the easiest choice for us to make. Whether it's the content of the food, the portion size, or even the risk of the food having been stored unsafely, it can be difficult to eat well, even with the best of intentions. We also now have access to ultra-processed foods. These include packaged baked goods and snacks, fizzy drinks, sugary cereals, and ready meals containing food additives. These foods often contain high levels of added sugar, fat, and salt, but lack in vitamins and fibre. Studies have shown an association between eating these foods and risk of several health outcomes, such as obesity and cardiovascular disease. Here we discuss why and how we can eat that little bit healthier. I'm now going to play a video from the World Health Organization, which describes some of the challenges we face and gives a brief introduction as to how we can eat more healthily.
We live in a world where undernutrition and obesity can exist side by side in the same country, home, or even person. Foods high in sugars, salt, and/or unhealthy fats are leading to unhealthy diets and are one reason why children may not be growing healthily, while causing other people to develop overweight or obesity. The consumption of unhealthy diets is heavily influenced by marketing. Easy access is fueling this new nutrition reality, but thankfully, change towards a healthier future is possible. By having a sustainable healthy diet made up of a variety of foods that are safe for consumption, we can promote health and have better abilities to fight illness. How do we do this? Good nutrition for women during pregnancy and for children in their first 1,000 days of life, including breastfeeding, sets them up for healthy adulthood and future generations. We should eat more fresh fruits and vegetables, whole grains, pulses, nuts and seeds, and less sugary drinks and foods high in sugars, salt and unhealthy fats. The less of these foods we buy, the more the food industry will be encouraged to produce foods that contribute to healthy diets. We can also call on our leaders to make the right decisions so that every person, everywhere, can afford and access good nutrition. When people like you and me, industries and governments work together to make positive changes, we can create a healthier world.
So, why do we need to eat well? There's a number of reasons, and we can probably all agree that eating a healthy, balanced diet is a good thing. Following a healthy, balanced diet helps us to make sure that our bodies are getting all of the nutrients needed to work well from day to day, and it can also reduce our risk of diseases such as heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and some types of cancer in the long term. Keeping active and eating a healthy, balanced diet can also help you to maintain a healthy weight. There is no one size fits all healthy diet, and it is not just about eating less sugar, salt, or saturated fat, but also about what we should be eating more of. For example, fruit and vegetables and fibre. Everyone is different, and the principles of healthy eating can be adapted to suit you. I'll go into more detail about what makes a healthy diet later on in the webinar. There are a number of different factors which can make it harder for people to eat well, and these will vary from person to person. For example, we have fixed factors, which are social factors out of someone's control. We also have factors to do with food skills and knowledge, whereby some of us may have a lack of understanding or awareness of what healthy eating is and not have access to the correct information on how to eat healthily. Furthermore, we have factors which influence our food choices. For example, we have preferences for food and consolidated habits which we have developed over time, which can influence our food choices. I'm now going to go into these factors in a little bit more detail. With the cost of food and other household bills rising, many people are facing the prospect of food insecurity. Food insecurity is a term used to describe when someone is unable to access or afford nutritious and safe food, which is also socially and culturally acceptable, in order to live a happy, healthy, and active life. Evidence shows that food insecurity is bad for people's diets and physical and mental health. Here in Birmingham, there are a number of food projects, including food banks, food pantries and clubs, community cafes, and on-street feeding projects who are supporting Birmingham residents who are experiencing food insecurity. Access to shops selling healthy foods may also be a barrier. For example, a lack of travel options to supermarkets can make the weekly shop long and costly, and in conjunction with busy schedules, we can end up not having enough time to prepare lunches for school or work. Reliance on others to prepare food can also be tricky. For example, we may rely on a household member to prepare our meals for a number of reasons, and this can result in the choice element of what we eat being removed. Developing cooking skills as a family can be used as a tool to express our care and to spend quality time with one another, and we can also use it to therefore reduce our dependency on pre-prepared foods. In addition, in our schools, hospitals, and workplaces, we don't have control over the food offer available and are there subject to what is on offer. Actual material things can also be a barrier too, such as what kitchen facilities are available and also having a big enough fridge and freezer to store things in. Cooking and eating well is possible with limited facilities, however. For example, we can cook some meals just using a kettle or microwave, such as porridge and chilies. Confusion around healthy eating guidance can lead to misinformed food choices, and with so much healthy eating advice out there, it's not a surprise it can become quite confusing. By understanding more about how to choose food, prepare food, and what the correct guidance is, we can make better informed choices about what we eat. A lack of cooking skills and reduced food preparation knowledge are significant barriers to the production of home-cooked meals. The consequence can be eating out frequently and avoiding the kitchen. Having this knowledge can help towards behaviour change. Increased nutrition knowledge and showing simple ways of preparing healthy food may lead to improvements in someone's desire and ability to prepare healthy and well-balanced meals. I will explain the UK's healthy eating guidance in more detail later on. A number of factors can also affect our food choices, such as taste preferences, cultural influences in cooking, family units who have different preferences over food, children or family members that don't like healthy food, and preference for unhealthy food and takeaways. When sharing a home or space, eating habits can become affected, and offering input into meal plans for the family unit can help us to reach a compromise. With children, it often helps to let them choose the base of the meal and then tweak the side dishes. Trying to get to know the family eating habits. It can be a slow process, but it brings longevity in healthy eating. And there are also lots of recipes available to make healthier versions of the takeaways that we all enjoy at home. Nutrition information labels can help you to choose healthier food options by telling us how much fat, salt, and sugar that they contain. Many supermarkets and food manufacturers now also highlight the energy, fat, saturated fat, sugars, and salt content on the front of the packaging, alongside the reference intake for each of these. Colour-coded nutritional information tells you quickly if the food has high, medium, or low amounts of fat, saturated fat, sugars, and salt. The red label means high, the amber means medium, and the green means low. So in general, a food or drink that has mostly green on the label is a healthier choice. Amber means neither high nor low, so you can eat these foods with all or mostly amber on the label most of the time. But any red on the label means that the food is high in fat, saturated fat, salt or sugars, and you should limit your intake of these foods and drinks. Try to eat these foods less often and in smaller amounts. So here on the slide, there is a picture of the Eat Well guide, and this shows us how much of what we eat overall should come from each food group to help us to achieve a healthy and balanced diet. The current UK guidance recommends at least 5 portions of different fruit and veg per day. So a portion is 80 grams of fresh, canned or frozen fruit and vegetables. It could be 30 grams of dried fruit, 100 ml of juice or smoothie. However, with this, only one portion of it would count. And it can also include 80 grams of beans and pulses. And again, only one portion of beans and pulses would count towards your 5 a day. Like carbohydrate, fruit and veg should account for 1/3 of what we eat per day. And starchy foods are also an important part of the diet. So they should make up about 1/3 of all of the food that we eat. And you don't have to avoid or restrict them because they are fattening. Instead, be aware of the total amount of starch that you eat. Cutting out one food group, such as carbohydrate, can cause dietary imbalances. Starchy foods include bread, potatoes, rice, and pasta. And when choosing these, the whole grain options are the healthier choice. Dairy products and calcium fortified alternatives are the body's main source of calcium, which is necessary for the growth, development, and maintenance of healthy bones and teeth. Dairy products and alternatives are also a source of protein. Milk, cheese, cream, and milk-based sauces and yogurts can have a high saturated fat content, however. Fat-reduced options are recommended, and also to consume these in small quantities. Protein is vital, and it is the body's main building block. Animal products such as meat, fish, eggs, and dairy are good sources of dietary protein. Meat and fish also provide the body with a form of iron, which is easy for us to absorb. Protein also comes from foods of plant origin, including pulses, nuts, and seeds, which are all high in protein. Pulses are a very good meat alternative, whether or not you're a vegetarian or vegan, so it's good to include these in our diet. Some fat in our diet is essential, but most of us tend to eat too much. Plant-based oils like vegetable oil, rapeseed, and olive oil are rich in unsaturated fat, so they can help lower cholesterol and reduce the risk of heart disease. Lower fat, unsaturated spreads are a good alternative to butter. You can use Eat Well guides in practical activities within community groups to understand the amount of food of each food group in people's typical diet. For example, you can get Eat Well mats and use cards which are suitable for your group to match these foods onto the Eat Well plate. Other healthy eating activities include Change for Life tools, cooking classes, label reading or shop tours, food demonstrations, and food tasters. Now, the original Eat Well guide does not include food from all cultural backgrounds. In this slide, we have included images of the Eat Well guide based on cultural variations in diet, such as the South Asian Eat Well guide and the African and Caribbean Eat Well guide. Anyone with special dietary requirements or medical needs might want to check with a registered dietitian on how to adapt the Eat Well guide to meet their individual needs. The Eat Well guide does not apply to children under the age of 2 because they can have very different nutritional needs. But between the ages of 2 and 5, children should gradually move to eating the same foods as the rest of the family in the proportions shown within the guide. So food and eating disorders. An eating disorder is a mental health condition where you use the control of food to cope with feelings and other situations. Unhealthy eating behaviours may include eating too much or too little, or worrying about your weight and body shape. Anyone can get an eating disorder, but most commonly teenagers between 13 and 17 are affected. But it's really important to note that anyone of any age can develop one. The most common eating disorders are anorexia nervosa, which includes trying to control your weight by not eating enough food, exercising too much, and doing both. There's bulimia, which is losing control over how much you eat and then taking drastic action to not put on the weight. Binge eating disorder involves eating large portions of food until you feel uncomfortably full. And there's also other specified feeding or eating disorder. And a person with this may be diagnosed if their symptoms do not exactly fit the expected symptoms for any specific eating disorders. And it is the most common. Getting help early when suffering from an eating disorder is really important. And if you or someone you know needs advice, contact your GP or Forward Thinking Birmingham. Forward Thinking Birmingham is a service that offers mental health assessment and treatment for young people aged 0 to 25, and this includes treatment for eating disorders. So, what can we do to help? And this is where the Bolder Healthier champions come in. Your role as a Bolder Healthier champion is to talk about the effect that eating well can have in our communities, to encourage and support everyone around us to eat well. Sharing these important health messages can be done by distributing the information you have learned into your communities. Connect people to the resources that can help them or someone they know, whether on a website or through a helpline or organisation. And finally, please feed back to us. Is our information useful? What other information do you think would help? What else can we do to get the message across? And is there a particular topic you would like us to focus on? Talking should always be done with the intention of helping connect people to the right support and not taking on the responsibility of offering professional guidance. Always use approved information and try to remain neutral. Try not to get personally involved with the people you are trying to help and signpost them to the correct service. So, what do you talk about to people within your community? Questions you can think about have been included on this slide, such as, can an elderly neighbour access healthy food options? Does a young neighbour have enough knowledge to support a healthy meal from scratch? Do you know if someone receiving care in their own home has the choice of healthy food options? Can anyone offer support to someone to travel to a food bank? As a Bolder Healthier champion, we need you to spot people who may need your support, share the messages and encourage eating well within your communities, and promote these webinars within your network. We would also advise to use open questions with the ask, advise, and act model. This is an example of how you can offer help without getting personally involved. You can offer brief and immediate support to find out what help is needed and then direct the person to the resources we have given you. So, for example, this is how this approach could be used for someone on a low income. So firstly, we need to ask questions. Are you managing to eat a warm meal every day? Do you know where your local food bank is? Have you got enough food for the week? Do you need any help with your food budget? Depending on their response, we can then advise them. So this advice in this situation would include there is lots of information available on how to eat well on a budget. And if you are struggling to afford the essentials, there are local food banks which can provide you with support. We then move on to ACT. This includes signposting them to practical resources such as budget recipes or Eat Well for Less. You can find a food bank or one of our warm welcome spaces if you cannot afford the essentials, and advise them to check they are claiming for all benefits they are eligible for using a benefit calculator. I think this shows how helpful using this model is, and is a way of providing support to people within your community. So I'm now going to move on to a little bit of a case study. So Olivia is a bolder, healthier community champion and lives in a block of flats. Amina has recently moved in to a neighbouring flat by herself with a 3-month-old baby. Amina has said, "I feel so run down at the moment. I know I'm not eating properly. The baby keeps me so busy. I don't get a chance to cook myself a hot meal." Olivia responds by saying, "I found it really difficult with my first baby too. It seems like too much effort to cook a meal from scratch when it's only me eating. I have some online resources to help with quick and easy recipes. Shall I send them to you?" Sometimes you can help someone best by offering practical support within the situation, especially if they're struggling to find the time to research the information for themselves. In this scenario, Amina feels confident enough to ask Olivia for further help. So what started out as sharing recipes could lead to some much needed financial support that Amina may not have been aware of. Olivia then offers further advice and help. "My children are both under 4 and I get help from the Healthy Start scheme, which puts money on a card for me to buy fresh, dried and tinned food. You could check the NHS website to see if you're eligible." So here, Olivia goes a step further and also directs Amina to the NHS website to see if she can get some further help. Bolder Healthier Champions do the very important job of connecting people to the resources available, whether through web pages, services, helplines or voluntary organisations. Here is a case study of how offering to connect someone to useful resources can help. Anwar is a bolder, healthier community champion and meets his friend Natalie in the supermarket. She's looking a bit confused at the food packaging she's holding, so Anwar asks if she is okay. Anwar offers help by saying, "I think green means it's a healthier choice and red means you should limit your intake, but I usually check the NHS website. It's really useful. Should I send you the link?" This shows how important it is that connecting people to useful resources can help them on their journey to eating well. We also have a number of different apps that we can direct you to. So Whisk is an app/website where anyone can access recipes for free. Whisk Meal Planner makes it easier to achieve goals. You can set up communities to share healthy recipes to your friends and family. And Whisk also calculates a health score for each recipe, with a score of 7 being the minimum to be classed as healthy. This allows you to pick and recommend recipes based on this score. So I'd say Whisk is a really good free platform that you can use to discover new healthy recipes that you can also share with your family and friends. Healthy Start is a scheme which helps families to buy healthy food and milk. If eligible, people can be sent a Healthy Start card with money on it that can be used in some UK shops. The card can be used to buy plain liquid cow's milk, fresh, frozen and tinned fruit and vegetables, fresh, dried and tinned pulses, and infant formula based on cow's milk. The card can also be used to collect Healthy Start vitamins and vitamin drops for babies and young children. Healthy Start vitamins are for eligible pregnant people, women with a child under 12 months, and children aged 4 years who are on the Healthy Start scheme. Birmingham Warm Spaces are a network of free-to-use warm welcome sites available across Birmingham, which are providing free, warm and welcoming spaces where people can come to take part in activities, access services, and get practical advice and support, as well as meet members of their community. The services at each space will vary, but may include information on further support and available guidance, opportunities to participate in activities and learn new things, free internet access, computers and charging points, and importantly, a friendly environment to connect with others within your community. These spaces are searchable on the internet. There are also a number of budget resources that you can access to help you eat healthier, and save money. So we've got TV programs like Eat Well for Less. Martin Lewis does some really good advice. Jack Monroe provides a number of budget recipes. And also the A to Z of food storage to reduce food waste. All of these links are available here on the slide, so you can click on them and learn a bit more. And another thing that I think is really important is ensuring that all eligible benefits are claimed using a benefit calculator. For example, about £15 billion of benefits remain unclaimed each year, and it's really important that we connect people to be able to access everything that they're eligible for. Now, when it comes to food banks, the cost of living crisis had made it much more difficult for many people in Birmingham to afford food. If this is something you are experiencing or people you know are, there are lots of different ways that you can get food cheaply or for free. Food banks provide a food parcel for at least 3 days for free. These food banks use a voucher system. You can get a voucher from different services, including advice services, social services, support workers in schools, law centres, social centres, GPs, and the Citizen Advice Bureau. And there's a couple of links on this slide providing more information on food bank voucher requests and where to find a food bank. There are also a number of other local services within Birmingham, such as food clubs, food pantries, which is somewhere where you can get cheaper food, and community cafes where you can get a free or cheap hot meal. The Active Wellbeing Society run the Big Feed project, which brings people together over food by providing a safe, welcoming space at community cafes. People can enjoy a hearty meal whilst meeting and spending time with others within their community. These cafes offer free meals and welcome optional contributions such as donating time, money, or skills. Food Cycle provide meat-free meals using surplus food in a number of locations in Birmingham. Olio and the Too Good To Go app allow you to buy unsold food from shops and restaurants at a reduced price. Incredible Surplus intercept food and other usable materials that would otherwise go to waste from supermarkets, restaurants, and other sources, and provide them to individuals and community organisations on a pay-as-you-feel basis. And your local pantries ask for small weekly fees where you can then go and collect food items worth £15 to £20. So on this slide, there are links to all of these organisations and their projects, so please explore a little bit further. We have also included here a directory of resources. So there's so many different things out there, and these are the sorts of things that places that we'd like you to direct people within your community to. So there are NHS resources such as Eat Well and Better Health, which are able to provide information on getting a healthy, balanced diet. Also the NHS Food Scanner app. Locally, we have Health for Life, which is a community programme which aims to make a sustained difference to healthy lifestyles in local communities across Birmingham. Food Cycle, as I've talked through, as well as Start Well. Birmingham Community Healthcare and the Birmingham Community Nutrition and Dietetic Service produce and recommend a number of key resources and recipes. And then we've also got the budget resources that I talked through and the links to accessing food banks. Furthermore, on this slide, as I touched on eating disorders, we've also got a directory of resources for these services. So we've got the Forward Thinking Birmingham service and also the Eating Disorder Service, part of the Birmingham and Solihull Mental Health NHS Foundation Trust. This service is for people aged 16 plus in Solihull and 25 plus in Birmingham who have severe and or complex cases of eating disorders. You really are our eyes and ears of the community. You can tell us when more help is needed and how best to provide it. Please email us or connect through social media at any time. The team email is on this slide here, and it is bolderhealthierchampions@birmingham.gov.uk. We really hope that you are enjoying these sessions and enjoying promoting positive health and supporting your communities to improve their health and well-being. We want to thank you for volunteering to be a Bolder Healthier Champion. Your role as a Bolder Healthier Champion is to share the information into your communities to encourage and support health and well-being. Our champions are advocates for important health messages in Birmingham by distributing this information into a wide range of communities and networks. We support you through monthly themed webinars and tailored resource packs. We have previously covered physical activity and how it can be incorporated into our daily lives, as well as the benefits from increasing regular activities, even in small ways. We've also covered the cost of living and more recently diabetes. If you know someone who might be interested, please encourage them to find out more by either searching Bolder Healthier Champions Birmingham City Council or by sharing the link with them when you receive the slide deck. And finally, I'd just like to say a very big thank you for joining us today. We couldn't do any of this work without you, and I hope you enjoyed the webinar, and I look forward to sharing more webinars with you in the future.